Welcome to Reversed.
We came up with something fun. They have sent in some questions. We're going to try to answer those questions, and if you have questions while we watch, you can ask us too, and we'll do our best. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, check it out.
With a carnivore diet, I understand eating a lot of meat. However, there's a lot of different opinions out there. So what are your thoughts on eating organ meats? Are they necessary to thrive, especially long term? Do we need them? Or also, could they be hurting us? Is it something that we actually have to watch out for, vitamin A toxicity?
I love one thing Dr. Berry said, I think we talked about this yesterday, right? Was about how our tongue is so knowledgeable. Now, when we're on processed foods and we're still eating addictive sugars and sweets, our tongue knows nothing, right? Like we're just addicts, so our tongue will say, oh, you need the donut. But then when we get off of all that, our tongue is really the gut-brain connection. It's so wise. And so there are people that say that liver tastes amazing to them. And I think those people should definitely eat it. And then there are people who eat it for a little while and it starts to taste not so good.
Out of an abundance of caution, because liver is such a superfood, it's so full of vitamins and minerals, all right? Especially rather than take a handful of supplements every day, why not eat 2 ounces of liver once or twice a week? And I think it can be any liver, chicken liver, cod liver, calf's liver, duck liver, oh my God, really tasty. But I do think Kelly's exactly right. If liver suddenly becomes distasteful after you really loved it and you're like, nah, I don't want it, I think that's your body sending you a signal. You've got what you need right now.
In the beginning of my carnivore journey, I used a lot of crutches to get me through and stay off of the standard American diet. I would drink coffee and I put spices on everything. Now I'm entering my 4th year as a carnivore and I'm wondering, is coffee, which isn't carnivore, bad for me? And what about spices? I use spices on all my meats and I love it. But it's technically not carnivore either, so I wonder if these things are okay.
Coffee now for 6 months, a coffee addict for at least 50 years, if not more. I always said coffee is okay. But once I stopped, I believe that I felt better than ever. And the addiction for me was gone quickly because I had some great support for people that encouraged me. I think coffee is not the best for us. But when you're starting carnivore and you're in it, it still probably is not that bad, I think, as Dr. Berry often says. And adding cream or butter probably tames the side effects or the bad components of it a little bit. But remember, it is a plant product. It contains a drug from a plant, caffeine for one, and likely many others. So my general recommendation is work to get off of it, but eating plants and vegetables and fruit is probably the worst scenario. Eliminate and get to minimize, if not eliminate, the coffee at some point.
Hi, my name is Benoit Lacerte. I live in Quebec, Canada. I'm on a carnivore diet since 1 year. In my area, the grass-fed meat and fat is twice as expensive than grain-fed. So my question is, how much better is grass-fed compared to the grain-fed meat and fat? Thank you.
So when you say grass-fed, what you really mean is grass-fed and grass-finished. That's what you really mean by that. Now, the omega-3 content is about 3% higher. But what did he say the price difference was?
Twice.
So should you pay double the price for a 3% increase?
Or just buy that and a can of sardines every week.
Or that. Because sardines are also cheap, right?
Yes.
Or cod liver is also cheap. Also, grass-finished has a little bit higher polyphenol count. So instead of getting your polyphenols from plants, you can actually get it from grass-finished beef. But is that a big deal? Probably not. So really let your pocketbook be your guide. If you can afford grass-finished, then I want you to buy grass-finished. But if you cannot afford grass-finished, buy the best meat that you can afford, because that is 1,000 times better for you than a plant-based diet.
But ultimately, the difference between grass-fed, grass-finished, and grain-finished doesn't matter. You eat the meat, find something for your pocketbook. That's the best way to do it. This is a great Q&A session. And did you guys enjoy it?
Oh, we did.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome,
That was
awesome.
amazing.
And today right now we're going to talk about
how to lose fat cells and reverse insulin resistance. And it's a complicated topic. What could maybe hold you back from the fat loss? Because the biggest thing for reversing insulin resistance is to shrink the fat cells and to gain or at least maintain muscle as you lose weight, because that will give it the glucose more places to go. That's what you want. You don't want to lose muscle as you're losing weight. You just want to lose the fat.
Some people, and it depends on your genetics, definitely. Some people fatten much easier than other people. And so certain ethnicities can become very severely obese, but not have type 2 diabetes. Right? That's possible. And so other people can remain very, very slender and seemingly healthy by modern standards, but have severe uncontrolled type 2 diabetes with an A1C of 13.2.
Exactly.
Right? And so we have to realize that metabolic disease can present itself differently in different people, depending on, it's probably genetic, but there could be other factors at play we just don't understand yet. If you eat a food, and we know that carbohydrates spike your blood sugar the most, and therefore they spike your insulin the most, because the insulin has to deal with that blood sugar spike. Protein raises your insulin to some degree, but not as much as carbohydrates, but your insulin still has to go up to match the protein intake. Fat barely bumps your insulin at all. And that's why many people find that when they eat a higher fat diet, they tend to burn fat faster, because if your insulin is elevated, if you have hyperinsulinemia, insulin does hundreds of things in your body, but one of the things it does is basically tell your fat cells to lock the door and don't let anybody out. And so when you've got hyperinsulinemia chronically, it's almost impossible to metabolize the fat that's stored on your body. And so I find that it helps people a lot to talk about what's your blood sugar, what's your A1C, what's your fasting insulin. Because then immediately you're like, oh, I get it. So if my insulin's chronically elevated, I've got hyperinsulinemia, that's bad. I can fix that by eating a low-carb diet. And then when my insulin returns to low enough normal, that unlocks the figurative door to the fat cell. And then you can start to metabolize away the excess stored fat. I want my insulin level to be as low normal as I can get it if your goal is to burn stored fat. If that's your goal, is to lower your percentage of body fat, then you want that insulin level to be as low normal as possible for as many hours a day as possible.
In my case, I do not want to lose fat.
Right.
What is the scenario of insulin for me?
So again, from just a stack of research literature, that hyperinsulinemia also leads to a host of other conditions, including fatty liver, including hypertension, including PCOS, including acne. Everyone wants their fasting insulin to be within normal limits. And so if you're eating a very low carbohydrate, because a lot of people have said to me, and probably you too, I can't eat keto, I'm too skinny. I don't want to lose more weight. And they're assuming that keto or carnivore is just a weight loss diet. And it's not. It's a weight optimization diet. I've actually seen people gain weight, gain muscle and gain bone, eating a whole food keto diet or a carnivore diet. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it was
All right.
amazing.